stripes, grain pattern. I'm going to go ahead and do that before I clean the rest. What I just did was I took this handle here and I went ahead and shaped it up, make it fit a little bit better to the hand, and then I'm going to take it, I'm going to have to sand it down completely with the heaviest grit I have to smooth it up, and then I can take and work my way through the grits from 80 up all the way to 220. That's 80, 100, 150, 180, 220. Work my way up through the grits until I can put a nice finish on it. And as soon as I've done that, then I can work on the inlay. Alright, now that I've got all the sanding complete and it's almost ready to go ahead and inlay, the problem with the super glue is anytime you inlay it, you want to seal the wood first. This way the super glue doesn't stain the wood and make it darker than it normally should be. So what I'm going to do now that I've sanded up to 220 is I'm going to actually spray a thin coat of clear coat on it, and this will actually keep the super glue from penetrating too deep in the wood except for the cut where I put the inlay. And you'll also get a better look of what the finished product's going to be like. Alright, so now that I did that, I got this all sanded up and smooth, and now I'm going to go ahead and attach it to this. And now there's going to be imperfections along the edge here, and that's when I take my Dremel and go ahead and clean that up a little bit. So with liquid nails or construction adhesive, something heavy duty that would stick metal to wood fairly easily,
went ahead and attached the handle using some liquid nails or construction adhesive. And now I'm going to go ahead and inlay the image. Before I do that though, I have to go ahead and take the image I'm going to go ahead and inlay onto it. And I'm going to super glue that onto there so that I can have a pattern to trace. And using the super glue again is the reason I put a clear coat on it first, because the super glue would have a tendency to stain the wood, soak in, and it's darker than the finish itself is. So we went ahead and put a coat on it to keep the blemishes down. I'll go ahead and do that. Now, I'm using a regular Dremel, and I'm using a cylindrical carbide cutting head, and what that's going to do is spin really, really fast and allow me a small point so that I can go ahead and start carving into there, but I've got to wait for this glue to dry. So now that I've got the image cut into there, it's time to inlay the stone. And the stone that I used was actually a nice turquoise. And I went ahead and crushed it very, very fine. Any method you can use to crush it is okay. For something this small, you crush it really, really fine. And then you're going to go ahead and fill the crack in with super glue and start pouring the stone over it. So I'll go ahead and do that. But this is what the turquoise looked like beforehand. It's just a turquoise bead that I took and crushed into a fine powder. So let's get started on an inlay. Alright, so first off what I'm going to do is, and you don't have to do this, but sometimes allows for better work, go ahead and pour some stone in there and brush it aside. Then start pouring some super glue into the groove with it. When you do this, you can actually just pour the glue into the corners and it'll spread throughout the stone fairly well. Alright, now that I've got the super glue in there, I can just simply shake that on there. Dump off the excess, and I should have a pretty decent inlay. I'm going to let that sit for about an hour or two, and then I'm going to go ahead and start sanding it down using a grit. Not too coarse, otherwise you'll just shave down the wood as well, and your line will get thinner and thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and start with about 150, get a lot of the excess stuff off, and then move to 170 to make it nice and flush. Alright, it's now sat for about 2 hours. Now I'm going to go ahead and start sanding it down with 150 grit. Alright, you can already start to see that the shape has been taken. Now I'm going to go ahead and sand back up through the grits, this time to 320. This way I can actually make sure that all the imperfections and everything are sanded out. And this I'll do by hand, just for that extra sense of perfection. Now that I've got the image inlaid, it's time to go ahead and clean up the edges, just make sure everything fits in nice and tight. And then I'm going to do an overall sand of the whole project, followed by one final coat of finish, and it should be ready to go. So I went ahead and after I finish this, I'm going to sand it up. I've already sanded with 150, 180, and now I'm going to finish it up with 220. And right after this, I can go ahead and put the final coat of clear coat on, and I'll be done. So we'll go ahead and sand this up. Alright, now before I actually put the last coat of clear coat on it, I'm going to take a slightly damp washcloth or paper towel and just go ahead and wipe all the excess dust off of it, bring it back to being clean. Otherwise your finish can actually just go ahead and set that dust in there, and it creates flaws and imperfections. So once I go ahead and get all this dust off of here, it's ready to finish. So with this, since I don't really want to get too much, I don't want to get any of this on the blade itself, we're just going to go very light. Cross like that. Just like that. Alright, and once that dries, we'll have a finished product. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it, and should have some professional pictures up on this right after after we're done.